On January 22, 2026, the United States Marshals Service asked for about $2 million back. About 20 minutes later, prosecutors say, the money moved. Not back to the government, to an address the government did not control. Nobody broke in, no encryption was cracked, no system was breached. What prosecutors describe is not a break-in, it is a transfer, sent by the person who was authorized to send it. That $2 million was not ordinary money, it was seized money. Cryptocurrency the United States government had already taken from criminals and was holding, the way a police department holds evidence in a locker. And by the time the marshals asked for it, prosecutors say, tens of millions had already moved. This is the story of how money the government takes from criminals ended up somewhere one person could move it alone, and how a private group chat put the whole thing on camera 5 weeks later. It starts with a question almost nobody asks. When the government seizes cryptocurrency, who actually holds the keys? The answer isn't always the government. The answer, in this case, starts with a $4 million contract and a single-family house in Haymarket, Virginia. Most people have no idea this contract exists. If you didn't either, hit like. That's the whole signal I need. In 2024, the Marshals Service split the job of holding seized cryptocurrency in two. The easy half went to Coinbase. Bitcoin, Ether, and other liquid assets major exchanges support. The hard half went somewhere else, Class 2 through 4. More than 200 different assets across roughly a dozen blockchains. Tokens out of hack recoveries and darknet seizures. The coins mainstream exchanges will not touch. That contract, reported at about $4 million, went to a company called Command Services and Support. Forbes looked at who that company was. Founded in 2011, a small IT services firm. Its registered business address is a single-family home in Haymarket, Virginia. No public record of cryptocurrency custody experience. No SEC registration. No chartered banking relationship. No evident state licensing for holding other people's assets. A competing firm formally protested the award. The protest was denied. The government's seized coins were stored in wallets at the company's office in Arlington. In January 2025, that company hired a new employee. His title was Cryptocurrency Subject Matter Expert. His name was John Dean Daghita. The company's president is his father, Dean Daghita. Say that part carefully because it matters. Neither the father nor the company has been accused of taking anything. No evidence tying company leadership to the alleged theft has been presented publicly. But here is what turned a hiring decision into $46 million. Forbes' analysis of the case lands on one structural fact. There was no real multi-signature control, no independent second key holder, nobody who had to approve a transfer before it left. One person could move it alone. By the time the transfer started, he had just turned 21. There's a second half to this that hasn't happened yet. Subscribe and you'll get it when it does. On December 15, 2025, according to the indictment, the transfers started. Not one transfer, a series. Over the next 5 weeks, prosecutors say, more than $46 million in virtual currency moved out of government-linked wallets and into wallets he controlled. 5 weeks. Nobody stopped it. Then, on January 22nd, the Marshals Service asked for roughly $2 million back. That's the moment this video opened on. About 20 minutes later, prosecutors say, the assets went to an address that was not the government's. Think about what that request actually was. The Marshals were asking for a routine return of $2 million. They did not know how much had already moved. They were asking a man to hand back a fraction of what prosecutors say he had already taken. From there, prosecutors say, the money went into Tornado Cash, a mixing service commonly used to obscure the link between deposits and withdrawals. The window in the indictment closes the next day, January 23rd, because on January 23rd, this stopped being a case nobody had noticed. And it stopped for a reason that has nothing to do with investigators, subpoenas, or forensic accounting. It stopped because of a group chat. In January 2026, in a private Telegram group, there was an argument about money. The format has a name in that world, band for band. Two people put their holdings on screen and compare. It isn't a transaction, it's a flex. He shared his screen. On it, a Tron address holding about $2.3 million. Then, while the screen was still being shared, He moved about $6.7 million in Ether into a second address, live, on camera. One wallet on that screen held roughly $23 million. If you already see the problem, you saw it faster than he did. That session did not stay private. An independent blockchain investigator who works publicly under the name Zach XBT traced what was on that screen. He didn't need a warrant. Every address on it sat on a public ledger, and a public ledger runs both directions. He worked backwards. The trail went from the wallet on camera, through the transfers, and into addresses tied to cryptocurrency the United States government had seized. Some of it traced back to the 2016 hack of the exchange Bitfinex. He published on January 23rd. His analysis went further than the indictment does. It linked the same cluster to more than $90 million in suspect flows across 2024 and 2025. That is analysis, not a charge. And some of it predates his hiring by months. The public record does not explain that. 3 days later, the Marshals Service confirmed it was investigating. The company's website went private. 6 weeks after Zach XBT published, 10 men came for him on a Caribbean island. March 4, 2026, evening, the French side of Saint-Martin. About 10 personnel from the Guadeloupe detachment of the GIGN, France's National Gendarmerie Tactical Unit, moved in with the FBI. They took him at a villa. Reporting on the arrest describes what was there: a metal briefcase of cash, several hardware wallets, USB drives, high-end computer equipment, a loaded handgun. The FBI released its own images from the operation, and in those you can see the hardware wallets and the briefcase. Money that no government could seize, sitting in devices small enough to hold in one hand, on a table on a French island. A federal grand jury in Alexandria, Virginia, returned a 15-count indictment: wire fraud, theft of public money, money laundering, unlawful monetary transactions. Every filing, address, and date I used for this is in my Telegram. It's free, and the link is in the description. And here is where this story stops, honestly. As of the most recent public reporting, he had not been extradited to the United States, and he had entered no plea. He has not been convicted of anything. What is settled is the other half of it. A 2022 Justice Department Inspector General audit found the Marshals Service's policies for storing, counting, and valuing seized assets were inadequate or absent. Inventory was tracked on spreadsheets that could be edited or deleted without leaving a record. The agency has acknowledged it cannot say precisely how much cryptocurrency it holds. A former government contractor described it this way in February 2025, a year before any of this became public. They were one bad day away from a billion-dollar mistake. After the arrest, the Marshals Service reportedly went to major American crypto firms asking for an emergency arrangement to take the assets off the contractor's hands. The $46 million is a case now. It has a docket number and a court date. The reason it was possible doesn't. He is still waiting on extradition. When he enters a plea, I'll cover it here. If this was worth your 7 minutes, like and subscribe.